Hey everyone, I hope that you are having a great day. So today's video is going to cover a comic that I really enjoyed reading and I got some unexpected insight from. Now this comic is from Obi-Wan, the current 2022 series, and it takes us back a ways into Obi-Wan's life. The comic is set up by seeing old Ben Kenobi writing in his journals as he's waiting out a sandstorm on Tatooine. And he's reflecting on key moments in his life and writing them down, which maybe these are the journals that Luke Skywalker finds later. But this first issue takes us back quite far into Obi-Wan's life, back when he was a Jedi youngling, only 8 years old on Coruscant. This memory opens up. Obi-Wan is waking up late in the night on the Jedi Temple and notices that his friend Garen is missing from her bed. He also notices that she's hiding something. As he goes to look for her because he senses that something is not right with Garen, he goes to look for her and searches through the temple and seems to know right where she is going to be. He finds her on top of the Jedi Temple overlooking Coruscant and seeing the cityscape. He asks her if it's the dreams again, to which she responds, "No, nightmares." She can see his face, she has memory of him, she can see her father is in pain, in great pain. Something horrible is going to happen to him. She's seeing this reality and she can feel it. She explains all of this to Obi-Wan and he asks her if she's brought this to Master Yoda yet. Yoda responds that what she is seeing may not be the reality, but it feels like reality to her. Where have we seen this before? Garen explains to Obi-Wan that she has to go help him, and Obi-Wan naturally pushes back and tries to convince her of otherwise. But it's clear that her resolve is set and that she is going to leave the Jedi to find her father. She tells him goodbye and may the Force be with you, after which she leaps down into the lower depths of Coruscant. Now Coruscant is a planet of layers, and these lower layers are not a place for an 8-year-old. And Obi-Wan, does something very Obi-Wan and decides to jump in after her and rescue her. As Obi-Wan jumps down and gets to these low levels of Coruscant, he starts to run into some very low level thugs that surround him and tell him that this is no place for a youngling, and Obi-Wan tries something that he's only read about here. With some strain, he calls upon the Force and attempts to do a Jedi mind trick on one of the Rodian thugs, which it actually works. "He's of no value," this Rodian is about to say, but then his fellow thugs realize what is going on, to which Obi-Wan switches gears and calls upon the Force to start pushing these thugs and even smashing them together, and it really looks like this 8-year-old Jedi youngling is going to hold his own against some big Coruscant thugs. He manages to stay in this fight and hold his own until, he doesn't. Out of nowhere, Obi-Wan is kicked to the ground and, pretty much surrounded again and right back where he started. It looks like hope is lost for Obi-Wan until Garen comes jumping out of nowhere and joins him in the fight. But the thugs are stopped by somebody who is higher in command. The younglings learn that they've stumbled in to something a little bit bigger than just some random thugs. These thugs are on the payroll of a Black Sun lieutenant, which was a crime syndicate. Ultimately, the two younglings are able to band together and escape the thugs. They're able to jump out of where they're at and away from the blaster fire and somehow narrowly dodging all of that blaster. These thugs have aim like stormtroopers. As they recollect themselves and realize where they are, they think that they're lost again, to which Obi-Wan explains, we can follow the stars back to the Jedi Temple. However, Garen's not going back to the temple with him. She's still resolved to go find her father and rescue him. And Obi-Wan realizes that there's no convincing her otherwise. Garen tells him, "May the Force be with you, my friend," to which Obi-Wan responds in the same way, and the two Jedi youngling part ways. Using the stars as Obi-Wan's guide, he returns back to the Jedi Temple, where he's joined by Master Yoda, who already knows that Garen is gone. Obi-Wan explains that he tried to get her to stay, but it didn't work out. Yoda then explains that much of Obi-Wan's insecurity, because if you remember, part of why Garen was so important to Obi-Wan is that he really thought of her as somebody who had helped him find his place in the Jedi Order, because ultimately Obi-Wan was actually very insecure about his place in the Jedi Order. And Yoda explains that just like Garen told him earlier, his place in the Order is up to him. He's the one in control of that. So there's two things that I really enjoyed about this comic and that I took away from it. And that's first seeing really how, even as a young 8-year-old, Obi-Wan was very connected and very strong in the Force. We've seen other young Jedi like Ezra Bridger in Rebels attempt to use a Jedi mind trick, and it didn't really work. But Obi-Wan Kenobi was able to do that as an 8-year-old, though it wasn't a smooth one and it didn't really take effect because the fellow thugs of that Rodian kind of jumped in and snapped him out of it. But he got a lot further than we've seen a typical youngling do. So we see that Obi-Wan is strong in the Force as an 8-year-old despite his insecurities, because that's one thing that really plagued Obi-Wan as a young Jedi and really throughout his career as a Jedi. He really questioned his place in the Jedi Order. As a youngling, we see that in the Padawan novel. We also see that later when he is Padawan to Qui-Gon Jinn. We see that he did not really know if Qui-Gon even wanted him as an apprentice, and it's debatable if Qui-Gon even did. But it's interesting to me that in spite of Obi-Wan's insecurities and not knowing his place in the Jedi Order, he was very strong in the Force and actually was really the best the Jedi Order had to offer. And everyone around Obi-Wan saw that, but Obi-Wan never saw that. And to me, that's one of the characteristics, that humility is one of the characteristics that makes Obi-Wan such a noble Jedi. The other thing that we see here is Obi-Wan interacting with somebody who is succumbing to fear of loss. Now, where have we seen this before in Obi-Wan's life? With Anakin, we see in Attack of the Clones, Anakin is wrestling with that very real fear of losing his mother because of dreams. Just like Garen, these nightmares that Anakin has feel very real. And we see in this comic, we see Obi-Wan sitting with his friend as she's telling him about these nightmares. And he sees that she is succumbing to this fear, so he attempts to remind her of the Jedi way of not giving in to fear, which is the battle that he is also internally facing throughout his whole life. We see that as he loses his master Qui-Gon. We see that as he loses Satine. We see that as he loses Anakin to the dark side. Obi-Wan is constantly battling fear, but one of the things that makes him such a great Jedi and such a noble character is that he is constantly overcoming that fear, whereas characters like Anakin and Garen lose that battle against fear. Now, I thought this comic was really cool to give some insight into Obi-Wan as a youngling. It's interesting that in Star Wars, we're starting to get a little bit more and more of Obi-Wan's story as a youngling. We had the Padawan novel that takes place when he is 15 years old. We have this comic as well, and there are so many other things that seem to be diving into Obi-Wan's life. This comic series does not focus on him as an 8-year-old in each issue. It progressively goes through his life, so I'm excited to cover more of those stories. If you enjoyed this type of video, let me know in the comments below. I thought it was fun. I like reading these comics and sharing my thoughts and kind of sharing that story with you a little bit more. So if you enjoyed that, let me know in the comments below, and be sure to leave a like for the video and subscribe. It really does help the channel so much. I would love for this channel to be able to grow to a point where I can really dedicate more time to making videos for you guys. But that's all for today. May the Force be with you and have a great day.